Welcome to the Horror Archive. Tonight's entry comes from a recorded anomaly at a private residence where bedtime safety was treated with procedure. Closets checked, beds inspected, doors left cracked for reassurance. But sometimes looks can deceive you, and sometimes the places you feel the safest are the places most dangerous for you. Some entries are fiction, others unverified, and some are waiting patiently to consume you. Listener beware, you are beyond the point of no return. I sat up and watched as Dad began the nightly sweep. Closet? Empty, he said, rattling the hangers. The plastic clattered, the sounds echoing off the drywall. Nothing in here, just shirts and hoodies. The clothes rustled as he moved them to show Toby nothing was in there hiding. No boogeyman, Toby. I promise. I clutched my stuffed bear, the fur matted from years of the same ritual, my thumb tracing over the bare patch on his ear. Can you check under the bed again one more time? Please? Dad sighed as he dropped to his knees and looked under the bed. He swept his hand through the dust bunnies, his wedding ring clicking against the hardwood. Clack, clack, clack. Just the floor down here, bud. There's nothing under here. He stayed there a moment longer than he did usually, face pressed against the floorboards to emphasize that he was making sure. When he stood, he smoothed the blanket over my chest, taking the edges of my covers and tucking them deep under the mattress, pulling them tight. Snug as a bug in a rug, he whispered playfully, leaning down one last time. Now remember the rules, Toby. The blankets are like a shield. As long as you stay tucked in and hide under the covers, nothing can see you, and nothing can get you. Mom leaned in against the doorframe, her face pale and tired in the light of the hallway. Honey, we really need our bed to ourselves tonight. We're beat. You're a big boy. You're safe. Tell you what, Dad said, hand already on the light switch. I'll leave the door cracked open. That way you have a night light to help you sleep. If you need us, we're right down the hall. They turned the light off as they began their exit. The door stayed open slightly, a thin line of light cutting a path across my bedroom. Good night, baby, Mom said. Good night, bud, Dad followed. Their footsteps faded, the floorboards groaning under their weight until the bedroom door closed and the house grew silent. For a while the room was normal. It was quiet enough that you could hear the wind howl through the windows. It was dark, the kind of dark that makes you see things, shapes, figures hiding in your corner. I lay there with my eyes forced shut, trying to make myself not look around at my darkened room. I started to relax. My body stilled. I breathed in deeply and began drifting slowly into sleep. Then the closet made a noise. I jolted awake, my eyes opening instantly. What was that? I held my breath, eyes searching up and down the closet door. I know Dad checked it. I watched him check it. Then the sound came again. But it wasn't coming from the closet. That's when I realized it was coming from beneath me. The mattress shifted, like something underneath was turning over in its sleep. The bed creaked, not with the metallic whine of springs, but the wet, heavy groan of adjusting weight. The closet door moved, slowly winding open a few inches. The thin slice of darkness stared me down. I couldn't look at it. I pulled the covers over my head like Dad said to. I closed my eyes, waiting for the ghastly claws of the monster hiding inside to creep out and snatch my tiny body. It was quiet. Nothing was moving. No sounds. The air was still. Even the howling winds had died outside. I opened my eyes. Nothing. There was nothing there. Just my room and the open closet door. I sighed with relief. See? Dad was right. No monsters. The bed shook violently, getting hotter. A feverish, humid heat began to radiate up through the sheets. Nope, I gasped. I'm going to their room. I tried to move, but my legs stopped. The blankets began to move on their own, vast hands of fabric reaching and wrapping around my limbs, tightening. I yelled as my arms and legs were jerked upward toward the wooden frame. held to the bed by the possessed sheet restraints. I'm trapped. The mattress beneath me quivered and rocked in uneven pulses, dipping and rising in places that weren't natural for foam or springs. It formed a shallow contour that matched the shape of my spine too perfectly, cradling my neck, my elbows, the back of my knees. The mattress was growing wet and bumpy, alive, like a giant tongue, my body and clothes getting sticky from the sap spittle. Bed was learning me, sizing me up, like a snake with its prey. My screaming grew louder by the minute. The headboard groaned as the wood began to adjust its structure, fractures spreading across the headboard like veins surfacing beneath skin, deepening into grooves that curved inward. The wood broke and jutted upward, thick splintered planks of wood arching up like jagged limbs. The blanket restraint squeezed tighter till it hurt. I thought for a second it might cut off my limbs and feet. The closet door creaked closed in front of me. It had been the distraction. It was the lure, and I had taken the bait. The splintered arms my limbs were bound to lifted me up above the mattress. Dangling there, I watched as it split open down the center, the sickening tear of skin as it unraveled at the seams. It lifted its split tongue up now, the halves waved like tentacles through the air around me. That's when I saw it. The mouth beneath was deep, jagged throat cavern of pointed hot bed springs and wooden splinters, a deep hellish light radiating from somewhere deep within. I felt its hot breath and spit spray as it screamed. The rotting stench of every person it had ever consumed hitting my face. I gagged. "No, let me go, please," I begged as I tried to break free. But there was no escape. The tongues wrapped around my chest and cinched tightening, squeezing the air out of me. I tried to scream for my parents, crying and thrashing as the frame below lifted slightly at the sides, rising like a slow, deep inhale. The headboard split fully into wooden horns. Yellowed wooden teeth snapped up and angled crookedly toward each other across the widening gap. The bed monster groaned and salivated. Thick, hot sap dripped down its teeth, stringing across its mouth as it flexed open and closed in delight. The door burst open and light flooded into the room. "Toby!" Dad's voice boomed as he stepped in, Mom right behind him. They both stopped bewildered, watching as the beast flexed in pulsating, sickening arcs. They saw the fabric of the duvet tightening and loosening like a throat, the hellish glare illuminating me, hanging like prey in a spider's web. I wanted to reach for them, my pale arms trembling, flailing under the restraints of the monster. My fingers pressed into the wooden limbs as I tried to push out of its hold, shaking back and forth to set myself free. "It's gonna eat me!" I screamed, tears rushing down my sweaty face. My parents screamed and lunged forward, hands outstretched to save me. But that was when the bed decided it was done playing with its food, and it was faster. It unbound my limbs and pulled me into its mouth, the jaws coming down with a loud wooden... And the world disappeared. That's the end of tonight's entry. What you've heard has been preserved exactly as it was recovered. The parents reported witnessing the final moments from the doorway. They attempted intervention, but they were unable to reach him. When the movement stopped, the bed returned to its normal shape. There was nothing recovered. No remains. No trace of the subject. Nothing. Only the impression that the furniture is now watching them. Thank you for listening. If you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe to see what gets archived next. And as always, this has been the Horror Archive.